Hey, everybody. If you're listening to this, you are listening to the first free hour of this episode of The Shift with Doug McKenty. If you like what you're hearing, please consider subscribing to the show in order to access the full feature-length versions of the podcast, as well as have access to the members forum, where we discuss potential topics and interviews and dive deep into the overall concept of The Shift. For only $6 a month, not only do you get the full-length episodes, but also an opportunity to co-create with me, your host, Doug McKenty, the future of the show. Go to www.theshiftnow.com or patreon.com/theshift and sign up today in order to help make the shift possible. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Good morning, noon, or night, wherever and whenever you are listening to The Shift. I'm your host. My name is Doug McKenty. This episode was recorded on May 27th, 2022. My guest on the show today is author and alternative health practitioner Bianca Ruehlig. In her book, Activate Your Pineal Gland, Bianca details her transformation from working as a software developer within the corporate world to owning and operating the Crystal Bowl, a health and wellness center located in the East Bay area of Northern California. After experiencing years of debilitating anxiety, Bianca turned to meditation in a last-ditch effort to discover a healing modality that could end the seemingly never-ending specter of the panic attack disorder that had rendered her life insufferable. Experiencing near-miraculous healing after just one attempt, she began an in-depth study of the philosophies and healing modalities surrounding the meditation practice. Initially understanding very little about the internal energy system that activated on that fateful day, Bianca's journey started by watching the Spirit Science series on YouTube, which outlined the fundamentals of an ancient healing modality recently rediscovered through the rigors of modern science. From there, she began a years-long journey which culminated in the writing of her book. In it, she outlines the fundamentals of interpreting wellness from the perspective of energetic healing, as opposed to the strident materialism that defines the majority of healthcare practices in modern times. Borrowing from a host of ancient wisdom traditions, Bianca's work describes in detail the existence of a complex internal energy system that, when harmonized, functions to produce a healthy mind, body, and spirit in much the same way a finely tuned guitar can be used to produce beautiful music. In fact, each energy center or chakra found throughout the body corresponds to certain colors and tones found across the energetic spectrum. Holistic health is then defined by the harmonizing of energies across this spectrum to create a balance of physical and psychological characteristics free from the negative impacts of discordant vibrations representing the root cause of disease. After describing this internal system of health and wellness based on an energetic perspective, Bianca goes on to identify a series of very practical methods designed to tune the internal system by removing blockages that prevent the free flow of energies throughout the body. She provides step-by-step instructions for a variety of techniques including meditation, sound therapies, and the use of crystals, grounding, and sun gazing, which help to open energy centers and ground internal energies in order to produce a balanced and harmonized system. This practice results in physical and psychological health. Ultimately, Bianca strives to help practitioners decalcify the pineal gland, connected to the third eye chakra located in the center of the forehead, the clarification of which is characteristic of the complete harmonizing of the entire system. Find out more about Bianca's work at www.crystalbowlwellness.com. If you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, and share this interview across your favorite social media platforms. We rely on listeners like you to distribute this alternative information. For more info about The Shift, sign up for the newsletter or subscribe for feature-length versions of each episode. Go to www.theshiftnow.com. Become part of the conversation by friending Doug McKenty on Facebook or following @DMcKenty on Twitter. Before we begin, I want to thank author and wellness practitioner Bianca Ruehlig for agreeing to this interview, and thank you for helping to make the shift. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 122nd episode of The Shift. I'm your host, Doug McKenty. I am joined today by Bianca Ruehlig. She is the author of the book, Activate Your Pineal Gland. Decided to have more of a spiritual leaning episode this time. I cover politics quite a bit, Bianca, and I'm getting a little burnout on that one. So I'm happy to
Wow. And
have
you're
a
talking to someone
conversation.
that doesn't have a television. So I
Nice.
absolutely am out of politics.
That's how I feel right now. I'll tell you that. I'm pretty much ready to throw away my TV and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, decided to do a couple of episodes more spiritually oriented. And I've been a friend of Bianca on Facebook, and her book caught my eye. And I wanted to have this conversation just to reintroduce my audience. I mean, I've done a few episodes like this, but to the internal energy system, basically, and how it functions and how it works and how it can be used for health. And you're also the purveyor of a health and wellness store in the East Bay, the Crystal Bowl. Is that correct?
Yes. Several years ago, when I went through my awakening, I was introduced to the crystal bowl, the singing bowls.
Mhm.
And so when I opened my wellness center, I named it after the crystal bowl, which is what it, essentially saved me from anxiety. And we actually just opened our second shop. So we've got a crystal bowl wellness center where I'm at, where we also offer acupuncture, Reiki, other services. I have a sensory deprivation tank. We just
Cool.
opened a Himalayan salt cave. We have a yoga studio, sound baths, and we opened a downtown shop 4 blocks away called Crystal Bowl Downtown, and it's just a little bit, different traffic. You're right in the middle of the downtown hubbub
Mhm.
and farmers market, so different audience, but it's really just an overflow because I can't stop buying crystals, and it's been what's helped and healed me. So I'm just sharing my playhouse is what I'm doing.
Right. Well, why don't you give my audience a little bit of your background so we can understand, how you got into this, what you're calling your awakening, what happened, who you were prior to that, and then the transformation, and then just what inspired you to write the book and open the store.
Wow. Okay. So let's start from my awakening. So I'm born and raised in the Philippines, and I was born, and so in the Philippines, it's mostly Catholic. So I was raised with a very strict Catholic upbringing, going to Catholic schools. And at a young age, I think it was 14, I made the statement where I said, God's got to be all merciful that we're all living in our version of hell. And I don't know where that came from, but I've always had that knowing in the back of my mind that I was going to be on something spiritual, but I didn't know what it was. So left the Catholic Church, started my own, group, and to this day, I still have those core beliefs. I still pray to Jesus, pray to God, I pray to Buddha, I pray to the tree and the stars. So whatever it is that is raising my vibration. So when I first came here from the Philippines, I wasn't very religious or spiritual. I actually got right into the corporate world. So I've been in IT. I was a software developer. I'm a programmer, and which really helped with reprogramming my mind. I made
Interesting.
the connection that everything, this reality is a software program, and we are also software programs. There is no hardware. There is no mind over matter. It's actually just all mind. So being a software developer, I started to see how I can make changes to my code to affect my reality. And really what triggered it is I had a panic attack. My first panic attack was from an outage that I may or may not have caused, but it affected a lot of people at my work. And I did not know at the time it was a panic attack, and which led to a 3-year panic disorder. I would think of the panic and I would have a panic attack. I drove myself to the ER, not knowing. I knew I was dying. I knew I wasn't dying. I didn't know what was going on. They
Hmm.
wanted to throw pills at me, and I literally could not swallow pills. So I dealt with this. I lived through this for 3 years. And one day I actually arrived, very strange. I arrived home from a Christmas party, and one of my dogs was missing a leg. I lived a totally normal corporate life, and here I am presented with something really bizarre and crazy. So I went down my very first rabbit hole of crop circles and animal mutilations And I just had no idea. And
Right.
literally it was the beginning of it was the beginning of my ending. I ended my life at that point. You actually asked the question, what were you like before? I don't really know. I am not at that vibration. I don't know what I was before, which is good. I've learned to really be in the present moment. So that experience led me. We really never found out what happened to my dog. It's actually in my book.
That's fascinating.
Brought him to the doctor. We had, and she ended up having, three legs. She was perfectly healthy after that. But it got me down that rabbit hole. And I started following a YouTube series called Spirit Science. And as soon as I learned about the chakras, it was my first time ever. I was someone that followed the media, followed the Kardashians. I was very much in 3D. Everything was matter. Everything was ego. I had nothing else outside of it. But when that happened, there was nothing that could explain, nothing could explain what could possibly have happened to my dog. There was no blood on the ground. It was a clean cut. There was just nothing. So started looking into conspiracies. And really that's what opened me up to, again, that series called Spirit Science, which led me to Bruce Lipton and a few other people that I follow. And when I learned about the chakras.
Is that a cartoon, that Spirit Science cartoon?
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It's almost like doodle cartoons and very simple explanations of really complex understanding. And I had no idea anything about crystals, energy, frequency. All I knew is that I had a panic disorder and I wanted to eliminate it. So when that occurred, I started digging and found a meditation. It was actually, his name's Paul Santisi. He is still on YouTube. And he had a meditation where he plays this affirmations all throughout. It's like a 3D affirmation all throughout your brain. It was my very first time. I got headphones, put it on for about an hour and a half, listened for my very first meditation. And for about 7 seconds, I was engulfed in white light. And I know that I was in bliss. I don't know where I was, but I knew that I was supposed to be there, and it was all perfect, all light. I wasn't in light. I was light. I was just, everything was light. And I haven't had a panic attack since. Wow. I actually believe I have stopped aging. I have reverted a lot of ailments. They're gone. I haven't had any anxiety. I have just been feeling at my absolute peak all the time. All this energy. I don't really sleep a lot. I still eat junk food, yet I feel absolutely like in my peak physical health. I just turned 44. I feel like maybe I'm 24. So there's a lot of things that I experienced in that 7 seconds when I awoke from that meditation. It was a new person. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the past, but it just didn't matter anymore. All I knew was I felt great. And that's when I bought my first crystal bowl. I actually went on Craigslist, bought this used $400 crystal singing bowl. I didn't know what it was. And when I started using it and meditating, I just knew that's what I was supposed to do. So several years down the line, I opened up a shop called Crystal Bowl, and we do sound bowl baths where we offer it. And these are all donation based, free to the community. We have, 10 classes a week that are donation based: yoga, wellness workshops, crystal classes, energy healing. I talk about water, structured water. What is structured water? A lot of things that I didn't know 6-7 years ago that now it's like, I am just so hungry for this information. And that's what I do. So I wake up, I don't have a plan for my day. I just do what I feel I need to do. Today I met with a couple ladies and did sound healing at my house. Yeah. And then I come to my shop and I've got this, and I'm living in the present moment. I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm following someone's path that I know is my higher self. I just got to keep trusting and having faith. And it was all due to that one experience, that 7 seconds. And it's funny, back to the number 7. You start learning about astrology and numerology, and start seeing synchronistic signs and patterns. And you're going, what is this? Why am I seeing 1111? Why do I see it? And what am I supposed to be paying attention to? So this started me on this path of, I enjoy making a lot of videos. I started a YouTube channel, and I just talk about things that I don't really know where they came from, but it's coming from somewhere that has this knowledge. And I feel like when I speak it, I'm teaching myself. I actually watch my own videos, and then I go, wow, I don't know where that came from, but I'm gonna look at that and I'm gonna apply it. And that's how you turn it into wisdom. But it's just living in the moment and applying, practicing what it is I'm learning. And what I'm learning is being of service, giving thanks. That's how I was able to publish my book or have the group, the Third Eye group on Facebook. It's at 280,000 members. And I started that 6 years ago with one member, and that was me. And then I created another profile that was also me. So, it grew. And all I did was share my questions, my path, and being able to question your own answers and being able to accept that this present moment is temporary. My belief today was not my belief yesterday, and it may not be my belief tomorrow. It's about not being attached to anything, including your own opinions. Your own truth is just your personal perception at the moment. And but all of this I learned from, I started from spirit science. I speed read and I type really fast. I actually type 103 words a minute, very fast. So I was able to grow my group, get into discussions, get a lot of feedback right away. And it just kind of grew from there. And I started collecting all of this in my notes and, told myself, you know what, I'm going to write a book. And I printed out what I thought was going to be my book cover. And I put it on the shelf where all my other books were. And I pretended to be an author. I put it I was in between Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton. And I would come in and I would see myself, great book. 3 days later, I received an email from a publisher, and they wanted me to, they wanted to publish my book. So this is just an example of manifesting.
Yeah.
And, all these things that I experienced just kept feeding my belief. So no one's teaching me. I'm not really teaching me. I'm using my experience to teach me. I'm trusting that what I'm doing is correct and I'm on the right path. And as things come, I just go, whoa, I'm going to make the most of this, make the best of it, forget yesterday. I'm not worried about tomorrow. What am I facing right now? What do I have? And making the best of it. And that's what's been attracting more of what's the best of what I have. And, now really it's been 5 years. We celebrated our 5-year anniversary at our shop. 5 years of a crystal store in a little residential area, right by a bar. And we now have 6 crystal shops in my city. So we are growing. It is about becoming more aware and sharing this experience. I'm not teaching people. I'm sharing what I've learned. And you need to teach yourself. You need to pick what you resonate with, what makes you feel good, the books that you read that makes you, light up. That's what you resonate with. And that's really all I've done. And I just share it in my group, share it in my book, share it in my shop. No agendas, no schedule, just going with what's going on. And, things just manifest as they need to.
Right. Yeah. Well, it just always shocks me to meet people that have made the transition so quickly. I think for me, and I told you over Messenger, I've been doing Tai Chi for like 25 years, and it's taken me a long time to go, is this stuff really real? Like initially it was like, oh, I'm doing the poses, I'm learning the forms, and I'm getting it. But then as I started learning more about the traditional Chinese medicine practice, I think the yin yang theory was something I could pick up on and understand, but the different energy centers and the different organ systems and things like that started to sound really far out to me, right? And it took me a long time to, I think I just was one of those, I just kind of fought it and had to really have the the internal experiences before I was like, wow, I actually think this stuff is real.
Absolutely. You cannot prove to someone that you had a dream.
Right.
You can't. You cannot make them believe that you had a dream. You can try. You cannot make someone spiritual. No teacher can give that to you. You must experience it yourself. When I experienced that 7 seconds, I just knew. I knew that this is where I need to be, and that is no more. And you know, and I think all of the experience, Tai Chi, everything is leading up to it's your leap pad. You're leaping into the next level, and sometimes I think different personalities play into effect. I don't know if you're too much into zodiac or astrology, but I know that because I'm and this is all stuff I learned recently. I am an Aries sun with an Aries rising, meaning my Aries sun is my personality. I'm an Aries. I'm a leader. I like to start things up. I'm very fiery. But my spirit, my rising, is also an Aries, meaning what is leading me and pushing my ego is the same energy. I had no idea. I didn't know why I would start 100 projects and only finish 2 of them. I didn't care about the other 98. All I cared about was I started the project. I didn't like it, move on. But this is not something that other people do. And coming to that realization of really it's that self, looking in, who am I? I am that, and I accept that, and that is my gift, that I can start things and really help encourage, fire things up. But not when I wasn't aware of it, you just start questioning, well, why am I starting? Why am I so inconsistent? Why don't I have follow through? Well, you know what? That's not my strength. My strength is starting, encouraging, and all the other stuff. Maybe I can find a Capricorn to help me with that.
Right.
We have different gifts, and that's exactly what I do. Some people are great at research. Some people are great at starting. Some people are great at follow through. And it's all about that looking within and learning about yourself. And we don't know a lot about ourselves. I did not know about energy centers 6 years ago. I didn't know about crystals. You gave me a crystal, I'd be like, what are you talking about? How am I going to heal with this?
Yeah.
Well, now you come into my shop and give me a little feedback on an ailment or an energy, and I can point you to a rock. And where did that come from? Where did that information come from? Intuition, trusting, and guidance from within. One of the things I do is sound therapy. I was gifted with what's called a cymatic machine, and this brought me down a whole other rabbit hole. One of my favorites. It's and I'm not going to get too far deep into it, but it's about the Tartarian regime, cymatic frequencies, aqua therapy. All of that started back then. All the structuring of the water is how we structured the buildings that we can no longer recreate, because we don't know how we did it. We did it with structured water, magnets, different sounds and frequencies. So as I'm learning about this, I'm applying that to my practice. So anyway, several years ago, I received a gift, which is a cymatic machine. You can't even purchase this anymore. And I contacted the manufacturers, and now I'm learning about this practice. But basically, it's restructuring, trading matter from sound. And we are light bodies. We're our inside our cells. We've found that there's nothing. It's energy. It's light. It's light held together by magnetism. So we're electrical beings. And light really is sound made visible. So sound and light is the same thing. So when you go out in the sun and you're getting this light, it feels great. Well, sound is even more of a root cause to affecting that light. And back to crystal bowl, I was like, why did this one bowl, how could this one bowl and this meditation change my life? I've absolutely healed physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, all of that. I don't have bad dreams. I say I have bad thoughts, but I don't pay attention to them. How was I able to do that? And how can I get that to other people? Well, learning that you can actually transfer energy through sound, because your body is made of sound. I see you've got a guitar back there. I use that as an example. You are a guitar. You've got 7 strings. Each of these strings are connected to different systems of your body, digestive system, reproductive system. And when you experience things, let's say you speak ill of someone or you're cursing, your throat chakra, the energy around this part of your body is out of tune, because it is, if you've studied Dr. Emoto, where he has frozen water and studied the particles, love creates pure, perfect snowflakes. Hate creates nothingness. It's chaos. It matches sewer water. It's dirty. There's no harmony. So when we do things that do not vibrate to love, to goodness, we know that. We are more morally, we know what is good. We know what is supposed to be and what is not. And that's the free will. That's the decision making that we face every moment. Mm-hmm. Every decision you make is a life-changing decision, because you are changing your internal structure through your thoughts, and the actions you do create energy that are emotions, that when you match those emotions to your thoughts, that feeling is then created in your heart, and that's what resonates out. So that we are a sound system, and when we do things that create disharmony, doing things that we know are not right, we're out of tune. Our strings may break, and that's why I've got the sound. That's why I'm so adamant about sound and even words. Words are sounds. Sure. That's what I use in my practice. So I use singing bowls. I have the sound machine. I have affirmations. And I'm now trying to actually figure out how to structure water and literally bottle my structure in a bottle and have someone ingest it. Because to ingest sound, all you need to do is listen to it. That's how you do it. And we resonate to what we're around. So 4 to 5 minutes of listening to something, you begin resonating to the sounds that you're hearing. And imagine just resonating to pure love or compassion or gratitude. And that's what we listen to. When I have people at my home, we listen to cheerfulness, and they visualize. Think of the most happiest moment. Now we're playing the sound. We are restructuring your water. We are implanting new memories. Your past is going to be your past until you create a new past using your present. So your present moment creates a past, and your water, your memory in your body holds on to that. So it is a little bit tough to, forget about it, let it go. Well, sometimes your trauma is held physically in your body.
Yeah.
And so with the restructuring, all the different practices, yoga, tai chi, I was into martial arts for 12 years. I did it's called Weichiru Karate. And it's very structured, very formal breathing techniques and poses and positions. And now with yoga, it's very similar, just it flows. Same with tai chi.
Right.
And first thing in the morning, I stand on wet sand, and I put my arms out, hands open. I'm doing my sun gazing, and I'm pretending to be a flower, because that's what we are. I ground myself in the dirt, and I imagine the desired outcome, the best version of myself. I'm giving thanks. I can see the rays of the sun coming in and leaving. So we are one with everything. We're one with the sun. We're one. And I can actually, you practice this, you can almost see information, because information travels with light and with sound. So back to my sound therapy, every part of your body emits a tone. You're a harmony. And when you've got one part of this orchestra plays the incorrect note, let's say the violinist starts playing from the wrong sheet, everyone is still playing, but this system is now out of tune. And eventually it affects the whole orchestra. So what we do is we're not looking at the orchestra. We're not looking at the body. We're going right to that sheet. Where is the sheet? Let's get it back. What is the tune? What is the note? Play that and restructure that. And it resonates, and it fixes itself. It promotes natural healing by implanting that tone back in, the resonant frequency of that part of your body. And I was blessed with this gift. It's the Cyma 1000, and Cyma, CYMA, means wave. So we are all sound waves. And when something is out of tune, you allow this sound wave to retune you, and you set your affirmations, you use your words. Your words resonate different with your ear and your brain. There's a connection there. And when you speak your words and you speak your truth, you are re-implanting and you're programming. So we're going right back to code. You're recoding yourself. You're the programmer.
Mhm.
You're recoding your software. Your vision here, this output, is your program. And if there's something you don't like, guess what? Go back in and reprogram it. Everyone else's feedback and opinion is a virus. Everything outside of your program is a virus, whether it's good or bad. It is something that is not of you. So you've got to remember, my code, there's a lot of different truths, a lot of different teachers. Go back to what is true to you, what makes you feel good, what makes you resonate to gratitude and want to be healthy yourself and have a healthy community. And that's what you follow.
Right.
And that's really all I'm doing, is I'm following what makes me feel good.
Let's talk a little bit about the internal system and how it works. I mean, just the basic fundamentals of the chakra system and how this relates to these ideas of energy and frequency. Because I think, the fundamental difference, and it's so interesting to me, like who might be listening to this. I imagine that most of my audience has some experience with this, but some of them, may have none, or even not even believe that it could, this perspective could possibly be real or true, because they're so in the materialistic point of view, which so many people are raised inside of. So I just want to, because at this point in my own experience, I mean, I've just had enough, uh, once you start to turn that eye inward, through the Tai Chi and my own meditation practices, you start to just be able to feel these energy sources and how they work. And it becomes very obvious that this is a fundamental part of, the human experience. It's almost amazing that so few people, at least in this culture, really know about it. I mean, why we're not raised and taught how it works, is really, I mean, that's a topic maybe for a whole other show, but it's crazy because so many other cultures, this is all very fundamental stuff. It's just common sense. So do you want to just explain, like why did you write the book about the pineal gland, and how does the chakra system work with the pineal gland, the third eye, and what does it mean to cleanse your system so that you can start to even tap into some of what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Well, the awakening experience that I had is what led me to dig into the third eye. So I was trying to figure out why that meditation eliminated my panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
How did it work? So back to spirit science and finding out, as soon as I learned that there is this being inside of my body, and now it actually exists outside of my body, that there is something that I am able to adjust to make that change. That's what got me to study and really do my research. I mean, there's so many places online. There's not only the videos, there's also just so much information already out there. All I did was listen to my gut. What practices worked for me? And practice is act. You must act.
Right.
And when you act and you experience, that's when you realize this is real or this is not real. This is working or not. You cannot gain that life experience through someone else's story.
Yeah.
So when I started doing my yoga and I started doing my meditation and felt that energy and was able to adjust my physical body or adjust my experiences, the people I was meeting, that's when I really had to sell myself on the idea. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about the chakras. I had no idea about energy or vibrations. I, again, was very corporate, normal person. And that's why I dug into it, was because it was, how could something change me so quickly? It was quantum transmutation. Immediately I changed I dropped a lot of people from my circle. My circle actually became a dot. It just was me for a while. It became me for about 3 years. And all I did was study myself, study my emotions, learned about watching myself and becoming the watcher, becoming the observer instead of being absorbed by what's going on. And that was really learning to step back. Now, when I was 16, I actually got in a motorcycle accident where I landed on my back and my head. And I believe at that point, I lost a chunk of memory because I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And this has made this experience easier for me to say, forget it and move forward and really be present, because I really can't remember. And I think that was something that had to happen. The past does not matter. The past does not define your present. The past does not define your future. Your present defines your present, and your present defines your near future. So the reason why I wrote the book, it saved my life. It saved my life. And I wanted to, it took me about 5 or 6 years to learn about it. And I speed read and I type really fast. So I said, well, why don't I just put this together? And really that was the story. And that's how I learned about everything, because I researched it myself. Yeah. I didn't know about the chakras. I didn't know how the brain functioned. I didn't know about left brain, right brain. I'm very logical. I'm a programmer. What is the right brain? Do I need the right brain? Now, I always told myself, interestingly, I haven't thought of this for a while, about, let's say 20 years ago, I worked for HP. I was an IT help desk. And I told myself, I am never going to be a programmer. I don't have the brain for programming, because I was customer service and all that. Turns out, the last 11 years, I've been a programmer, and it was my favorite job. Now, why? How did I go from I am never going to be a programmer to I am a programmer? It was the best thing ever. Now I still am a programmer. I am a mind programmer, mindset programming. Well, this goes back to learning about how the universe works. Universe doesn't understand no. It actually doesn't understand your words or intention. It understands the vibration and the tone. So it heard blah, blah, blah programmer, and it felt the energy. I was like, I am never. When I said never, I just had all this energy in it, that what the universe felt was all this energy focus. It didn't know that I meant no or never. It just felt that energy there, and it knew the word programmer. So what happened? I became a programmer, and that's actually it was the best thing that happened to me. And a lot of things that, again, back to experience, you start experiencing these synchronicities. I want to say a synchronicity is when you think of something and it happens. You think of a name and that person calls. You think of a song, it plays on the radio. You think of, you start seeing these numbers, these patterns. Dreams start coming true. You start, I ask for an answer and I receive it. This happened just three days ago. I'm seeing a new client. I don't want to say client because really I'm experimenting with sound. I'm seeing a new guest at my home for, let's just say, a spectrum of brain support is what we were working on. And we went from nonverbal to verbal in 5 sessions. How did that happen? And what we were doing is we were implanting a new memory. You are perfect. You are healthy. And as we're doing that, we're playing a sound that targets that part of the brain, cerebellum, the cerebrum, all of these. Again, I didn't know about any of this. I dug into my brain because I wanted to learn what fixed me. How did something go from this to this? They say the fastest way to get from A to B is a straight line, right? Well, I don't think that's the case. Not in my case. The fastest way from A to B is I transmuted into B. I became B. I didn't even magnetically attract B to me. I just said, I'm done with A. I am now B. And that's what happened. And that was quantum. And I am still seeing that to this day. I ask for something. I visualize it. I put my energy. I know it's going to happen. And it happens. I ask for a question, and I'm not asking God or any specific being. I just put it out there and I say, I need to know this. I know that I know it. I know about the Akashic records. There is a library of knowledge that every one of us is connected to at all times. We just haven't figured out how to pinpoint and get there. And so I just put it out there. I said, I need to know, how can I help this person? Back to that my new client.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a nap, and I had a dream, because I don't dream that much, that I rolled up a piece of paper and poked myself in the left eye. And then I woke up and I go, well, that was obviously a message, because something you remember in a dream is a message. They're not random. Nothing's random. You learn that everything happens for a reason. This is happening for a reason. All of our challenges happen for a reason. So I took that dream, explained it to the mother, because this child is 4 or 5, and turns out that there was an eye thing. We targeted that with our sound session. And like I said, 5 sessions later, he's speaking. Miracles happen, quantum healing, whatever you want to call it, power of belief. Maybe he never had an ailment. Who knows? It doesn't matter. All we know is this present moment. He believes it. I believe it. His mother believes it. And it's now experienced in reality. That's how programming works. You don't allow viruses and external things to affect you. I know my code. I'm going to go in and fix my code. Something's not working, go back to your code. So applying this to my life is how I've been able to manifest the book, the following, the home I live in, the backyard that I'm about to convert into a sound garden. All of these things are manifested. I put it out there. I said it. I believed it. I let it go. And I did things that supported goodness, acts of service, doing things that helped myself and helped my community. One of the things I did was I actually listened to one of your shows. I can't remember which one it was, but it was saying I think it was the mythology. I love some of the episodes. I want to go backwards and I think it was the mythology one, but it was about, affecting the whole world. Well, we can't. You are going to be overwhelmed. This world is not for you to fix. We are here to fix our world. Our world starts with our perception of what is in our surroundings, our inner world. Am I healthy? Am I healed? Am I fixed? Is my space fixed? Is my home, my connections, my community? How can you affect yourself, your people, your community? And that's how you change the world, because your world is here. When we get distracted by the TV world or the movie world or any other world outside of what we are experiencing with our senses, it distracts us from what we can affect, because our present moment is what we can experience with our present senses. Mm-hmm. So really, again, back to refocusing. And that's why I wrote the book, is there was so much power. We're Superman. And this is going to go off in another tangent. We charge with crystals. We communicate with crystals. We charge with the sun. We absolutely can levitate. We absolutely can control minds, not necessarily read minds, but push a thought and magnetically draw that thought to you. All of this, we just haven't realized our full potential. We are bountiful in what we can achieve. I don't like saying the word limitless. Limitless, words are very important. Limitless, even though the idea of it is limitless, you are taking limit and less, right? So I like to think of it as we have bountiful potential. This is going back to a video I was going to make. I know this might be a little bit of a tangent, but very recently, a lot of people, when I say thank you in customer service, I not really expect, but I kind of expect you're welcome. Recently, it's been, of course. Go up to a drive-through. Thank you, of course. And I go, well, what is going on here? Words are so important. Word creates your world, okay? Thank you is thinking about you. I am thinking about you. I am sending you good wishes. Thank you. That's what we're doing. You are welcome. You are well. Come here. That's the energy of you are welcome. Well, of course, is you are off course. Just really paying attention to our words and using it, shifting how we use our words so that we're creating the reality and not just experiencing someone else's reality. I was thinking of the word the shift, on a keyboard. When you press shift and press a letter, right? The letter A, same letter, different letter. Same letter, different letter. Now
Right.
that you have pressed the shift, you can now use it to start a sentence. You can use it to capitalize a name. It's plural. You can actually use it in there's so many different things. It is now a different letter, but it's the same letter. We're just looking at it different. So the shift is we're just experiencing, this is the same world I was in 5-6 years ago, but I'm seeing it different. I'm
Right.
actually seeing it from a higher level because I am not the pawn. I am not the queen. I am not part of the game. I am above it and can now control a lot of it and shift my vibration to attract what it is I want to experience. And of course, we want to experience goodness, gratitude, happiness, cheerfulness, all the high vibrations, because life is supposed to be enjoyed. It is not supposed to be a challenge. You're not supposed to be hanging in there. When I ask someone, how are you doing? They go, oh, I'm hanging in there.
Right.
Well, who is holding that string? Who wants to hang in anywhere? Hanging sounds like tough work. So start, grab a hold of that, look up who's holding the string, take a hold of it, and now you are controlling. You are no longer that puppet. So all of this, I know I kind of go off on tangents. There's so many things.
Yeah.
It is something that I am very excited about, all of this, because it all has led me to where I am now, which is about being able to do what I love. I'm about to meet people next in a couple weeks that I've looked up to, Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden.
Cool.
And I'm going to a Gaia event for the first time. I'm hoping to pitch a show. All of this stuff, I'm able to do what I think I'm supposed to be doing and just living in the moment. And that the book is to help people figure out and how they can do it. You must cleanse your physical body. If you are not physically healthy, it is going to be hard to be emotionally happy, mentally clear. You're thinking about your health. You're feeling bad. If you feel bad physically, when you wake up and you have a backache, I'm going to be thinking about my backache. And I'm going to be thinking about this pain. And pain is at a vibration that you are attracting that energy back to you. So you've got to heal your physical body.
Uh-huh.
When you feel good, you don't have to, think of anything here. You can now go out and be creative. You can go and experience other things because you're not worried about healing yourself or taking this pill or doing these things. So in my book, it talks about immune health. There's a lot of, sun gazing. There's grounding. That's barefoot in the grass, barefoot in wet sand, I've learned is one of the best things. Meditation, sounds, all of these things that I've learned, I don't want to say dummied it down, but I have made it so that it's easy to follow. It is how I learned and it's how I explained it. Yeah. And I've gotten great feedback, which is amazing. It's, back to physical wellness. When you start, because the third eye we see here, there is actually a gland in the middle of your brain that correlates to that. So just like where we say our, the third eye is drawn here on certain, on Shiva, on Buddha, sometimes it's sticking upwards, sometimes it's horizontal, sometimes there's a snake coming out. It's called the urea, which is the snake, or the uraeus. And the cobra, that just depicts an awakening, an enlightenment coming out of the shell. So reptilian brain could mean it as well. So there is a physical gland, little teeny tiny. It's a smaller than a grain of rice. That's the called the pineal gland, and I can't quite say if it is correlated directly to the third eye chakra or the crown chakra. But does that really matter? It does not matter which chakra or energy center it correlates to. We know that this supports the pituitary gland. This is the first sensory for sunlight, which then says, hey, it's time to wake up. Let's turn on the glands, the systems to get you healthy and waking up in this fashion. So it then notifies your pituitary gland, hey, send all the messages to the rest of the glands. What time of your life is it? Are you in puberty? Are you going through menopause? It's not just the time of the day. It's your biological clock. So your eyes see that. And that's why sun gazing is something I promote. I've done a couple of videos on how to sun gaze, safely. So when I sun gaze, you're looking at that light and you're feeding your pineal gland, and you are clearing that pathway. Your pineal gland think of it as the antenna. It's the antenna that receives the vibrations all around. We're surrounded in vibrations. From that antenna, you are perceiving your reality. So if your antenna is higher vibration, your reality is of a higher experience. And cleaning your body, because it does, like I said, it sits outside what's called the blood-brain barrier. So anything that you ingest, it ingests. You have to clean your entire system for that to be affected. And there's a lot of talk about fluoride and all these different chemicals.
It gets calcified.
It's not just fluoride. It's alcohol. It's tobacco. It's your thoughts. Everything affects your system, your body, which then in turn affects your pineal gland. The best way to clear your pineal gland is through breath, through detoxing your body and through breath. It's breath, I believe, is the spirit. And when you breathe, that is the indicator of life, right? Breath is the indicator of life. And it is using that breath to transfer your energy up and down your spine. And I'm kind of doing the motion, but this is a meditation that Dr. Joe Dispenza has also made very popular. And it is the breath that connects, I believe he's calling it the gut-brain connection, but it really is the gut, your gut, which is your sacral chakra, which is right at your umbilical cord or your belly button, that connects all the way up to your pineal gland through your spinal column. And your spinal column is actually, if you put your hand like this, that's how wide that energy is that transfers it's called cerebrospinal fluid. It's a fluid that moves up and down regularly throughout the day. But if you do breathing practices, you can enhance this. One of the breathing techniques is when you do this single nostril breath, where you breathe in through your left and you breathe out through your right. And you're just circulating the energy this way. And then you circulate it this way. And you hold your fingers at different positions. Again, think of yourself as a computer. Here's your Wi-Fi. This is your antenna. Your heart is your Wi-Fi. All of the nerves are different connections. So when we do this and they say, oh, this is supposed to invite luck. Well, maybe this is the electric connection that sets the vibration for that emotion. And when we do different mudras, we can activate the heart, we can activate the brain. We do different positions and they do different things. So when we heal, we put our hands out. You have chakras on your palms. They're rainbow chakras. They're very powerful. You can send Reiki energy. This is one of the practices we do. You don't have to be Reiki. You can just do this and send out an antenna, an intention, a vibration through your hands to send an energy. It's a blessing. It's scientific. Again, we're energetic beings, electric beings.
Right.
We just don't know how to use our body. We don't know how it all connects. We know up to the physical. And I've been continuing to dig beyond that. And I'm continuing to learn. I mean,
Well,
There's the
then
chakras is just the
if you are
beginning.
listening to this, you are listening to the first free hour of The Shift with Doug McKenty. For access to the full feature-length versions of the podcast, go to www.theshiftnow.com and subscribe for the audio version for just $6 a month. Access the full-length episodes in video form through rockfin.com by subscribing at the Shift with Doug McKenty landing page. For $9.99 a month, you gain access not only to The Shift, but also all other premium content material hosted on the platform. Find out more at www.theshiftnow.com/store. Detoxify your body, decolonize your mind, make the shift. Very cool. I mean, maybe if I can keep you for maybe another 10 minutes or so we can kind of wrap it up on this note about, I think, the human body as a battery and the health as in terms of cultivating the energy for overall awareness and health. I mean, I feel like that's the end game. If you're going to start to participate, we've kind of covered the importance of actually doing the practice. I mean, like I said, my personal issue is I want to think about things too much, but I've realized that I actually have to do these practices. You have to detox and decalcify, and then engage in the practices and then cultivate the energy. And cultivate it so you have more of it. And that's what it means to be healthy. Is that how you would kind of describe the ultimate goal?
Absolutely. Just pretend you're a plant, right?
Yeah.
All we need is water. We need sunshine. We need the flow. We convert our energy. We stick our feet into mud and dirt, and we're grounded. And when you do that, all you do is you're just being this plant. And you have an essence. Whatever that plant's essence is, it's doing it by being a plant. So when we do the practice, I do my grounding, I do my breath work, I face the sun, I practice care and compassion and gratitude. And when you do these things, everything just falls into place. And that's what I believe this life experience is. And, the pineal gland, I don't want to really, just back to that.
Yeah.
The pineal gland is that I don't want to say what would it be? It's the jump start of your battery, because your entire body is a battery. And I actually had a video about 5 years ago where I think it was called Your Body is a Battery.
Yeah.
And the name of my podcast, which I haven't been too active in, because I've been really focused on my community, my store, all that. It's called The Human Rays, HUE,
Right.
because that's what we are. We are hue. Hue is light. We are just different variations of light. And as you change your frequency, guess what? You change your light. You're now a different human. You're a different version. Every moment when you make that conscious decision of anything, you just changed your vibration. You just changed your frequency. And that's what it is. Everything is about vibration and sound. And, all of this and all of this is just one thing.
Right. Do you have any advice for people that get kind of stuck? I mean, I've been in those places before where it's really difficult to change yourself just because you're in a stuck place. I mean, have you experienced that with some of your clients? Did they have, like, with my Tai Chi practice, there was definitely a kind of a place that I got to that I didn't want to, I had a difficult time, I guess, to get through, to relax through certain tensions that were kind of fundamental. I guess maybe they're, the older traumas that kind of define some of your coping mechanisms that maybe aren't really working for you anymore, but you're not really willing to let them go. How do you help people work through that kind of stuff? Some of the deeper stuff.
One of the things that we do is just distraction and refocusing and shifting. So we have, one of the practices I do is I give them a scorecard. And when you are thinking negative of yourself or of these 3 things, and we name your top 3 things, you put a score on it, and then you focus on something sensory: the light, the sound, the drink, the food. Pure attention to that. We're not supposed to multitask. We're not computers, okay? We relate as computers, but we are not. We are human. So when we multitask, we are losing focus We are spreading ourselves thin. We're
Uh-huh.
causing multiple realities to be created. And that's when you get panic, chaos, anxiety. Oh, I'm all over the place. Well, because you are. Your thoughts are all over the place. So when you start thinking of, oh, I didn't do a good job with that, stop, score, tick. You just refocused, right? Now, focus on, okay, I'm going to think of this crystal. That's it. You just refocused. The past is there until you create a new past. So you must use your present to create your present. And when that present passes, it is now your new past. Eventually, that old me, which I don't even know her, she just doesn't exist. She had a lot of anger. She had a lot of addictions. Now, I still have anger and addictions, but that's not what I focus on. I'm focusing on the new scorecard. I've got my good and bad side. So does everyone else. I'm going to look at my good side because that's where I want to focus on. I want to invite more of that good stuff. And that's when you learn about how the the universe just reflects. You send out the little ripple, it sends out big, huge ripple back, the same exact ripple, tenfold. So what I do is I focus on the goodness, focus on what are your good traits, what is positive, what is working for you. Yeah, sometimes that little negative thing comes up. Okay, acknowledge it, boom, move on. It is just refocusing, file it away, forget about it. You can't forget about it unless you're thinking of this new thing. Or, it's like when they say, oh, you hurt your leg, pinch your arm. Your arm hurts now. You don't remember your leg. I tried that with my son the other day. He said, Mom, now they both hurt.
Yeah.
But it actually did work. It did work. But it's redirecting. You're the director. Redirect.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. That's great advice because I know, like you talk about being a plant, it sounds so simple, but sometimes making these changes, they're challenging because people have these really ingrained subconscious habits that make it challenging.
If you start saying that it's easy, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
So we change our words. We change just the way we say things about ourselves and about these challenges. They're just wins that we haven't won yet. We just haven't succeeded. There's a few different programming techniques that I apply to people. The SWOT, for example, is kind of like a pro and con where you do strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Well, opportunities and threats are make believe. We don't know if they're going to happen. They may never, so we just cross them out. Now we're just left with strengths and weaknesses. Well, the weaknesses are just strengths that we haven't made strong. So You have no weaknesses. You are made of strengths. You just haven't made them all strong yet. You have to refocus. You refocus on, what am I working on today? Today I'm going to work on my book. I'm going to focus on that. Sometimes things come up. When someone is bored, that's when things people get brought into the past. You've got to keep busy, get involved with nature, get involved with community, good, like-minded people. I'm not talking about the gossip circle. I'm talking about the gratitude gathering. Very different. Start paying attention to what you're paying attention to. What music do you listen to? What are you hearing? Because even if you're not listening, guess what else is listening? Your subconscious is listening to everything and noting it down. And it may pull from that file cabinet when you're not ready for it. So paying attention to everything that you are near, your world out here, world here. So television, your social media, the songs, all of it really affects you. You are the average of what you listen to.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, Bianca. Thanks for coming on and kind of clarifying. I mean, it's such a vast subject and a vast topic to kind of shift the mindset from the typical normal, quote unquote, materialistic world into this it's not, I don't even want to say alternative paradigm because it's just clearly another obvious way of looking at
it's a shift,
the world. And then, you have to make the shift. If you've been raised in the materialistic paradigm, you have to make the shift. But once you do, the benefits are really, I mean, they're limitless. Not to use that word, but um, you know, you can make this transition from being stuck in a material world into really seeing that thinking in terms of vibrations and energies, and learning from these other cultures and from the modern scientific evidence that also corroborates that all of this stuff is very real. And then just hitting the ground running and experimenting with a lot of these different techniques to kind of start to grow your awareness about how it works, and then start to cultivate the kind of balance that can do things like get rid of panic attacks and mellow out your nervous system and eliminate a lot of the anxieties and the depressions and the addictions, and so many of the problems that drag so many people down these days. Hopefully this kind of knowledge will continue to spread. The other thing about it is that it's way less expensive than going to the doctor, and it's way healthier than getting on a bunch of pills to try to mitigate the symptoms without ever really dealing with the root causes of a lot of these health issues. So, do you want to let people know a little bit more about the store? I've just been sitting here thinking that I'm bummed that I've just moved from Northern California, because I've always wanted to try one of the sensory deprivation chambers. And I can't believe I'm talking to you now, and I could have just driven down to the Bay and had my opportunity. But maybe next time I'm in Northern California, I'll definitely look you up and give it a try, because I've always wanted to check that out. But you want to just let people know again the kind of things that you're offering and where you're located and where people can find out more about what you're doing?
Sure. The store is called Crystal Bowl Wellness Center, and we are in Brentwood, California, Northern California. There's a Southern California.
Yeah.
And we offer Reiki. We have acupuncture, cupping. We have a Himalayan salt cave. We have yoga, meditation, sound baths. We have tuning fork therapy. I do cymatic therapy with my sound machine. We have hypnotherapy, past life regressions. We have an oxygen bar. I've got, what else? I've got massage chairs, everything for wellness, everything that helps people feel better. And this is all available for you to be able to use as well, just by listening to the tone. So a lot of the things that we share online are things that you can apply. So act with practice. You must act, and that's how you get it to work.
Cool. And what website should I point people to? I know you got a couple different ones.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Again, I'm an Aries. I'm all over, and I actually don't even have a website for myself. So let's go to crystalbowlwellness.com.
Okay.
It is going to be the final website. Right now, it's got my Instagram feed. It's got the sound bowls that I promote. You don't need a whole set. You just need one, because you will begin resonating to that one note. Now you can get a whole, bunch of different ones, but like I said, get one tuning fork, one sound bowl. So crystalbowlwellness.com is going to be where I will have all of this information, links to my other places. I'm also on YouTube under my name, and find me on Facebook under my name. I've got the Third Eye Group, which has 280,000 members. I play a lot of cymatics directly on there. I do a lot of meditations, a lot of information. Just everything is accessible. You must make the decision to learn about it and do it yourself, and it'll work.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks again for coming on, and again, explaining some of the complex world of living within your biofield, within your energetic biofield, and a lot of these different techniques that you can try. And I just encourage people actually to buy the book, where you've written down a lot of these different techniques, pick a couple that you feel attracted to, and dive right in. I mean, the only way to start to become aware of how this system works is to learn how to feel it. And Bianca's got plenty of different techniques: the sun gazing, the grounding, lots of different meditation techniques, and a lot of different other ways that you can start to tap into how your own internal energy field works and what you can do to put it back in balance. So thanks again for coming on, and thanks for your work. I'll let people know that you've been listening to The Shift, and I'm your host, Doug McKenty. You can find all of my stuff at www.theshiftnow.com. I've got over 120 episodes of this show, plus a couple of other shows, and some written work. The Populist Papers is the name of my Substack. And if you look under the free content tab, you'll find all of that on the website, theshiftnow.com. You can also check me out on Facebook. My personal page, Doug McKenty, is the place to go. And I am at D McKenty on Twitter. So you can follow me there if you're interested in becoming more of a part of how to make the shift. So, all right, very cool. Really enjoyed it. Thanks again, Bianca. And I hope we get a few
Thank you.
people into your store and a couple people at least who will take a look at this book, because it is a very practical guide to getting involved in this kind of healing path.
Thank you so much, Doug. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you all for tuning in.
You bet, Bianca. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. There's my conversation with Bianca Ruehlig, the author of Activate Your Pineal Gland. I've been wanting to do an episode like this for some time. I've been friends with her on Facebook for a bit, and I got turned on to her book. And I just wanted to have her on to give this basic overview of how the internal energy system works. And that's what I appreciate about her work. I mean, she has her own experience and her own story to tell. Which is great, because she was able to turn her own life around, coming out of the corporate world, indoctrinated into the typical colonized patriarchal system based on this ardent materialistic worldview that we all know so well. And she had this meditation experience, and it just woke her up. And in her book, she really describes the fundamentals of how the internal energy system worked. And having a show like this that really kind of breaks down the basics of what, all these other cultures pre-colonized, pre the Western imperial system, all other cultures essentially were tuned into this concept of the way that reality works. And it's, instead of being based solely on materialism, it's based on this idea that there's this energetic model of how the universe works. Their creation actually comes from sound, vibration, from light. And in fact, modern science is now starting to pick up on a lot of this. The new sciences that have come out in the last 100 years, the unified field theory, the quantum mechanics that are starting to be developed in the West, Western physics, is really starting to come around to the realization that yes, in fact, consciousness is based in a large part on these ideas of energy and how energy works, and how energy then becomes matter, and these transformations and transmutations that happen. And Bianca, just in her book, really outlines how these previous cultures have observed this very same thing, and then described in detail how our bodies, our material bodies, are essentially manufactured out of this deeper, more subtle level of these layers of energetic imprints that happen over a long period of time. And a lot of people these days are even talking about how, DNA is essentially like a radio transmitter and receiver. And it's essentially taking the energy from the universe and encoding it and transmuting it into this physical body that we all have. But the body grows on top of essentially this internal energy system that's defined by essentially this chakra system. In Ayurvedic medicine, they have the 7 chakras that come up and down. The Chinese system is slightly different, but it talks about the 3 dantians, and it has a lot of the same pressure points in the acupuncture system that are described in the Vedic system, and it turns out that it's very similar. The Chinese system talks about this microcosmic orbit that Bianca talks about in her book. Once you open it up, once you decalcify the pineal gland, open up the third eye, then you can recirculate the energy freely. But it's really interesting the way that it's split up. The chakras each essentially have a color, and they have a tone, and these correspond to the colors of the rainbow, the way light refracts, and then the way sound harmonizes in chords or is discordant. And this discordant vibration on this energetic level is what causes disease, ill health, psychological imbalances. And it's one of the beauties of the system, in my opinion, actually, is how there's this mind-body connection. So psychology is not so separate from the physical body the way that it is in Western culture, where we have allopathic medicine dealing with the body, psychology and psychiatry kind of dealing with the mind. But there's this real close relationship between these chakra centers and the tension that's held in the different organ systems, and then how that gets reflected externally through our personalities. And so the solution to psychological illness is to actually balance these internal energies in this internal system as well. And even physical maladies are also just reflections of the fact that um, there's blockages in this energetic system. And the beauty of the way Bianca approaches it is she really kind of just had this awakening moment where she realized, wait a minute, something is going on here internally inside my body that's not just this physical thing. I've touched on it with meditation. I want to go deeper, figure out how it works. And then in her book, not only does she describe it, she describes the chakra system, how it works. She describes the aura system, so how the energy expresses itself externally outside of your body, and then how the energy flows inside and then outside and back inside again, ultimately in this torus pattern. I mean, the information, the funny thing is, I wanted to do an interview like this because I really kind of wanted to address the skeptics. So many people who are raised in the Western system just think this is all crazy, superstition, and it just is not real. And I myself was extremely skeptical of all of this kind of this view of this energetic system, this internal energetic system, and it took me years of studying Tai Chi to have those internal experiences myself to go, oh, wait a minute, they're not just making this stuff up, right? I mean, this is actually a real system, and these systems of health can be extremely helpful. I think the issue with them is that they're not profitable. So in the West, pharmaceutical companies don't really want to turn you on to these kinds of modalities because if you discover that you can sit down and meditate and actually heal a lot of your issues for free, then you don't have to go spend tens of thousands of dollars every time you have a problem. And actually what these things do help with is exactly what the allopathic system is terrible at dealing with, which is the long-term psychological issues, the habit patterns that have formed as responses and coping mechanisms to the traumas that you've experienced, especially being raised in a patriarchal system that's based on trauma bonding. And we have ancestral, now those of us who've been colonized for many generations, we have ancestral traumas that we have to deal with. So many family issues, right? So many addiction problems, so many control issues, passive aggressive issues in each one of our families. These modalities, these energetic modalities, actually address these root cause issues. And then in the book, Bianca really describes, how to meditate, different ways of meditating, different tools that you can use while you meditate, how to use the crystals if you want to go there. You can use candles. She talks about doing grounding exercises. She talks about doing the sun gazing, which was very powerful for her. And she ties it all into, how this internal energy system works and how you can actually balance it out. And just like she said, and of course in my own experience, you really actually have to do the practice. You can't just think about it and convince yourself that it's real. This is something that I've run into in my personal practice. I'm so much of a thinker, so much of a skeptic, really, that it took me a while to have internalized these experiences, to do the practice, to get the empirical evidence from within, to go, oh, this internal system really is part of our daily existence, and it's something that we all need to be aware of. So I hope you got a lot out of it, and for those of you, if you weren't skeptical, and if you already have a practice, I hope you learned a little bit. I mean, the nice thing about Bianca and her work is that she does so much. She does the sound therapies, she does the silent meditations, she does the sun gazing, the grounding, the crystal work. She has a sensory deprivation tank at her wellness center, and so she is a kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to these modalities. So even if you've already experienced some yoga, some Tai Chi, if you've done some acupuncture, if you already have a kind of a fundamental belief that there is this energetic system, I hope you got something out of it. But especially, I think this conversation would be great for those who were skeptical and who haven't had these experiences, don't believe that it exists. I mean, I know there are people out there that are going to listen to a conversation like the one I just had with Bianca and say, wow, that's just a bunch of new age woo. But like she said, I mean, I would urge people to go check out the spirit science cartoon series on YouTube as well, because modern science is now starting to find, lo and behold, that what the Vedics were thinking 2,000 years ago, what these ancient cultures have been cultivating, developing these systems for a long, long time, they're actually onto something. Guess what? And modern science is having to slowly figure it out, that this is in fact how the world works, that there's a balance. There is the material world, of course, but there's also this unseen energetic world that really is the driving force behind the material world. And unless you get tuned into that, you can't get to the root cause of a lot of these longer term issues that the Western healthcare modalities simply cover up the symptoms, right? That they don't ever actually address the root cause. So I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I did. Again, whether you've been doing a practice for a while or whether or not you're new to all of these ideas, I hope it wasn't too much woo. I hope you could actually contemplate the fact that this stuff is real and it can really help you out. So maybe you're curious about checking it out. And I would urge you, if you're in the East Bay, definitely go check out our shop. I wish if I still lived in Northern California, I'd be going and checking out that sensory deprivation tank, that's for sure. But you can go to www.crystalbowlwellness.com and you can see the things that she's selling there. She's got some tuning forks for the external harmonizing of the body. She's got the singing bowls, the crystal bowls, and a lot of different tools that can help you out in terms of how to balance the energies in your house, how to balance the energies in your body, and how to harmonize some of these discordant vibrations that may be causing ill health or psychological disease in your life. So it could be very helpful. Again, check it out, www.crystalbowlwellness.com. And as always, you can go to theshiftnow.com, check out all my stuff. If you want to get the full-length versions of each episode, you can sign up for the newsletter there, and you can find all of my stuff too posted on Facebook. Doug McKenty is the place to go, at @DMcKenty on Twitter, and all my videos are up on YouTube, although I usually use Odyssey, and you can go to Rockfin. You can find them there too. Again, www.theshiftnow.com. Next week, I've got Marie Hieronymus coming up. She is a modern dancer, and she works on a lot of initiation ritual type movements and motions. This is her focus. She's written a book about systems of indoctrination. So we'll be getting into cultural systems, how the patriarchal system works on us, through us, against us, and some of these sort of ceremonial rituals, these initiations that can be used to break some of those bonds, and to get us a little bit closer to the systems of nature that I think will help to harmonize and energize our internal energy systems that we talked about this week. So hopefully you all will stay tuned for that one, and I will see you again next week. All right, thanks for listening.